I'm Maureen, Maureen. I want to pass on the tradition. The core of the holidays is God and faith. You have to be thankful to God. Always have prayer in some form in each holiday. On Christmas, to keep Jesus alive, it's his birthday. We always keep that alive with a cake. We sing happy birthday to Jesus. I'd like that to keep following up in with each generation. Traditions always should follow. The core should be faith, and then families should be surrounded, and then there's plenty of love to go around. I guess the biggest obstacle is to get off of the cell phone so that you can engage in conversation, because the younger generation are constantly on their phones and they're not engaging on the here and now and taking in the moment, because you don't get those moments back. And if you're on your cell phone, then you're losing everything. You're losing your family time. You're losing laughter. You're losing joy because you're too busy texting or looking up something else, and you're not engaging in everybody's fun. Generations coming up, I think I would fail because technology is coming so far. And they're all either playing games on their tablets, they're on the cell phones, they're texting, and it's hard for them to get away from those devices so that they can engage and actually see people. Nana and Poppy are going to be around for a long time. We want to enjoy stories that can be said and memories that can be made, food that, you can enjoy without stopping it down to see if you got to play that next game on your cell phone. So that's how I think that's the biggest obstacle. They got to keep they got to keep family, the tradition of family, and recipes that are passed down and passed down. I've learned a lot of recipes from my mother-in-law, and I've learned a lot of recipes from my daughter-in-law because I wasn't always the greatest cook. But you pass on different things, different traditions, and you enjoy it.
And why Diana? That's spelled Diana. The traditions I think every family should keep is Thanksgiving. The reason I say Thanksgiving is because it's a holiday to get together and be thankful you have each other. Everyone scatters away to different towns, and they're all busy with their own lives. It's a day to come together. I know a lot of people work on Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving can be done the day after or the weekend after. As long as you come together as a group and as a family, that is the day to be thankful for. And thankful you have a family. A lot of people don't have families to get together with. A lot of people are lonely. Even if you have a friend, bring them over. Have them at your Thanksgiving table. That is the time to be together as friends and family. Well, I would have to say Christmas. The reason I say Christmas is because it's a time to be thankful and to be with God. I love God. I think He embarks everything we do, and we celebrate God Jesus's birth. And my mother-in-law, she makes the best cake to celebrate Jesus. It's a Jello cake, and it's delicious. But it is a tradition that I love, and my son loves. And we know when we go to her house, that cake is sitting right there, and I know I'm gonna get a piece of that Jello cake to celebrate Jesus' birth.
Well, I think I'll toot my own horn here because I really started all the traditions for my family when I got married. There was traditions I had when I was a child, but then as I got married, everybody came to my house. My mom and dad, my grandparents, my brothers, my sisters, their friends. And then eventually it was my kids and it was their friends. And it just grew and grew and grew. And it was always at my house. And I was always the one that got gathered everybody together. And we always enjoyed big dessert tables at Christmas time. And we loved it. And now it's kind of grown to like maybe a little bit of drinks that we fool around with. There's always like something, but I think I instill a lot of tradition.
I use cell phones a lot now to help with new traditions because the reason is it is a part of the way of life. I use it for new recipes, to look up cooking temperatures. I use it to maybe look at my son's homework. It's just the way we are doing things nowadays. We can't run away from it. It is here to stay. Cell phones are the way of life.
Oh, because cell phones just get in the way of everything. You're not engaging. You're not being part of the family. You're not being part of your friends. You're just too busy on the cell phone, whether it's playing games or, uh, you know, um, texting somebody or checking your email. You're not even being part of the family, and you're not. That's what the family is. Your tradition. That's the core of every tradition is the people. And if you're on your cell phone, you're missing everything.
I use cell phones a lot now to help with new traditions because the reason is it is a part of the way of life. I use it for new recipes, to look up cooking temperatures. I use it to maybe look at my son's homework. It's just the way we are doing things nowadays. We can't run away from it. It is here to stay. Cell phones are the way of life.
Oh, because she married my son, and she has my grandson, and I want them to continue. Sure, I want them to make new traditions, but we as a family have had traditions, and I'd like to have that go on and on. So yeah, it's important. So she could put down the cell phone and just be with her family, and then eventually it'll be her grandchildren, and she's going to want to talk with them, not be on the cell phone or whatever's available by then.
A lot of people inspire my traditions. The reason I say that is because I have a dad, a mom, and a wonderful mother in law. They're all wonderful. Like for the first tradition, my mother in law teaches me her broccoli and cheese casserole. It is the bomb, the best broccoli and cheese casserole you ever had at Thanksgiving. Then I have my mother. She taught me the tradition of stringing popcorn while watching the old fashioned Grinches on TV and doing tinsel. Then I have my dad. He had Sunday or weekend traditions where he would make omelets for all the kids and have a little bit of omelets and toast. And I do that also with my son. And then I have my very own traditions that I use.
I think it's worse than that because I see a lot of people are sitting at the table trying to enjoy a meal and they're not even talking to each other, but they're texting each other or they're sending each other jokes under the table, and they're not in conversation together, so they're not socializing together. And traditions and everything go out the window when you're on the cell phone because you're not enjoying the moment. And so in that way, it's a detriment. But in another way, you got your cameras so you can capture moments too. So it has its good points too with the cell phone. But when you're calling or you're texting or you're taking yourself away from the situation, then you're taking away from the tradition of all the holidays, which is family.
I believe technology has improved the way we have family traditions. Cell phones, without cell phones, you won't get new games. You won't be able to talk to people out of town. You can video chat your family members. You can video chat your friends. You can teach your child a new math game. You can educate using cell phones. Cell phones have a wide variety of ways you can add to your traditions. You can even add new traditions using cell phones. There is endless possibilities when it comes to technology. And we can't run away from something just because it's scary or new. We need to embrace that. The advantages of cell phones that help with traditions is I get lost sometimes. I forget, oh my goodness, how long does a turkey need to take to cook? And then I can look that up. recipes, they get worn, they get torn. But if you go on the internet, they're not worn and torn. All you gotta do is look up, how long do you cook a turkey? How long do you need to make stuffing for? What's the recipe for this? What's the recipe for that? I am a big baker and cooker. So if I need help, the internet's right there. So I could just grab my cell phone, go in the kitchen, and look up the recipe and put it on the counter. The recipe's right there in front of me, always. Most of my family traditions come from everyone. I like to dabble a little bit of here, a little bit of there. I want not to hurt anybody's feelings. I want to make sure my son knows that every one of his family gave a little bit of traditions in themselves. Like I just said, my mom, my dad, my mother-in-law, even my husband had traditions when he was a kid that I use. And that I want my son to be wonderful and completely enveloped in the whole family. I'm a very family-oriented person. And if it's not about the family, then that tradition should not be there. The first time I used cell phones in my tradition was about a year ago. Before that, I used my tablet. Nowadays, I use my cell phone. I still do the same thing. I look up new recipes. I keep in touch with my family and friends. I ask if how many people I'm going to have for Thanksgiving. It's a lifeline. It keeps me involved. It keeps me up to date on how everybody's doing. I use it in every tradition that I have. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, any kind of holiday. Even just calling my parents once a week to make sure they're doing okay. That tradition I always have. I always make sure that I call every family member at least once a week to make sure, hi, how are you doing? That's what cell phones are there for. Some of the new traditions I use cell phones are mostly for baking. I am a baker and a cooker. And one of the new traditions I have is that apple pie. I love this apple pie I make. It is made with cinnamon rolls as the crust, sweet apples in the middle, and then cinnamon roll with that cheese drizzle. Everybody is a crowd pleaser at Thanksgiving. And I wouldn't have had it unless I was searching Facebook and found that recipe, because I used to make this apple strudel pie and it tasted, no one ate it. No one liked the crust. But then as soon as I found the cinnamon apple pie on Facebook, it's gone. I absolutely love it. So my new tradition is to make that pie. Technology has improved family traditions is because everybody doesn't get lost in the shuffle. What I mean is everybody has their own lives. And if you have a cell phone or if you have any device, you can video chat them. You can see them and say, hi, how are you? Like, I am a member of the church and I teach religion. And every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, I meet up with my friend who teaches with me, Miss Ray, and we just sit there and video chat about the week's lesson. It is a lifeline. It is used every day. It is how you can make sure, hey, how are you doing today? Oh, I heard you had a bad week. And check on people. It is a way of life now.
Well, one of them would be like we do. Our family tradition, Christmas, is having the cake for Jesus. We sing happy birthday, put a candle in, and it teaches, everybody that we have to remember Christmas is Jesus' birthday above all. And the presents in Santa, that's all part of it too, but that's the main core of it. And so that's one tradition we pass on. Somebody else may be baking certain cookies and they cut them out together and do that. And then they'll do it with their kids as it goes on and on and on. But when you start young, you foster that kind of tradition in them. And they look forward to it. Well, I don't know. I think old traditions are good. They're a part of your history. They're a part of your family's history. They're a part of your soul of your family. So when you have a tradition of getting together, say Christmas Eve, you go to mass, or Christmas Day you open your presents, or maybe it's Christmas Eve you open one gift. Whatever that tradition is, those old traditions mean a lot. The new traditions, if it's about cell phones or being on the computer or playing a game, you're still losing that core. I keep going back to that, for lack of better things, but the core of the family and the core of faith, that's what keeps everybody together and keeps traditions alive. So it's important to have the older traditions, they're more they're more integrated into family, and the newer ones are, I feel, pushing you away from family, pushing you away into solidarity. You're alone. You're not engaging, and that's what I don't like about cell phones.